Doing outstanding November 6th, 2024, 8:31 on this fine post-election day Wednesday. Talk about the markets, some of the names I'm looking at, go from there. But pretty crazy stuff here. Futures are soaring. Small caps are up 6%. All small cap futures. S&P futures up over 2%. The SPY's at all-time highs. So market's going to open at all-time highs here this morning. Overnight, it looks like the new POTUS will be Trump. So it looks like Trump won the election. And now the last part here is uh, will Republicans get the Senate and the House? So, I was talking about it yesterday morning a couple times. Typically the market wants to see kind of a split, so it's not a clear sweep. So at least there's a little more debate when things have to get passed. But when you have a clear um, wet path for bills and things to get passed, an agenda to get passed, typically that's not bullish for the markets, right? But it looks like overnight. So some of the things you look at, yields are soaring. The U.S. dollar is soaring. I think some of that is on possible more spending, right? So the higher the spend, usually that doesn't bode well for the government. I mean, for usually yields will go up. And then also the U.S. dollar is strong, which we think would be the reverse. But take a look at the euro. I think it's the most. It's down most since 2020. You take a look at a pound; it's down the most since Brexit. I think 2016. So some wild moves overnight, and then you see some of these Trump trades, and some of it you look at Tesla. And I was talking about it yesterday with these proxies on the election. And if you take a look at the company that might benefit the most, and if you listen and watch any of Elon Musk's uh, discussions or what have you, he talks a lot about a lot of red tape that his companies have to go through. So there was suits on SpaceX or whatever. So needless to say, it looks like it's going to be a net bullish for Tesla. Also for the markets too, I think, and there was a lot of concern, people talking about tariffs, right? I mean, you would think, and this happened back in his last term, there was the trade war with China, and everybody thought that was going to be so bad for the markets. And uh, it seemed like every time there was a tit for tat thing, the markets would sell off that right in the middle of the day and then recoup it. I don't know if that's gonna be the new theme, but interesting stuff. Yeah, and take a look at gold, right? Down nearly 2%. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin at all-time highs. So a lot of crazy moves here. So last, I put it on the watch list this morning, 2016, the election. Then I remember overnight, futures tanked and limit down, right? Then markets opened and a reversal from red to green, and then a rally. I think we were up 7% on the day. Uh, I don't think we're going to get something similar to that in regards to a reversal, but we are blue skies here. The IWM, which was struggling to break 225, was testing 240 before. Where is it right now? Yeah, it's 238.65. So we're in blue sky territory. So it's going to be tough when the market opens to find some support. I mean, there's going to be people taking profits. So where does that put the markets out? For the SPY, 585 was that key spot. So if we do get a serious pull after the open, that's the spot I'll be watching. Then on the blue skies, I mean, maybe this is the start of a end of year rally over 600 on the SPY. It's certainly possible. Not going to rule that out. But so many moving parts here. And, I'm never a fan of gaps, right? Because it always tends to be, especially gaps to the upside, they always seem to sell. So I just don't want to see that. And a lot of times when we see big gaps to the upside, the selling starts and it starts slow and then picks up, and all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, we're gonna have a green to red move here. I don't think that'll be the case today, but always you've seen this so many times. Anyway, so small caps IWM, I had the spot there in July. Back in the summer, the 225 handle couldn't break. Then some chop all the way down to those lows in August, which the the yen carry trade. Then we had the chop in September, October, couldn't break 225. So on the flip side, great sign. I've been saying it for the last 6 months about small caps leading in the charge. We'll love to see that continuation, and maybe IWM goes up 15-20% from here. Will be nice. And then last but not least is yields. And I was talking about the three-headed monster. I wouldn't say three-headed monster, but yields, the VIX, and small caps, those were all down. Yes, well, small caps were up and the VIX and TLT were down, or yields were down. And today yields are up. So it looks like the market doesn't really care about that. And then last but not least, the VIX, which had been kind of the little concerning anomaly that was going on. The VIX was over 20 with markets at highs. And finally, it seems like the election was the big weight lifted off its shoulders of uncertainty. Now we got some certainty, and the VIX is down under 15. So down at 15. So good sign there. All right, so individual names. So after the close yesterday, Super Micro reported their earnings, which I didn't expect much. I mean, it's down there. Obviously, they still have revenues. It's more about how they're going to clear up any of the clouds over the company in regards to its filings, its auditors, and they pretty much said they don't know when they're going to come out with a filing. And there was really no update on that end. And not only that, they lowered their guidance by $1 billion in revenues. So how does a company where right now it's just over, it's just the auditing and the financial shenanigans are the concern, right? It's not their product or how much products, maybe partnerships and things like that, but for them to lower their guidance by $1 billion. So are they saying they're losing customers, or are they saying, hey, we really overstated our numbers? I don't know. Just not a good look. And then I also look at it, it's like they raised $2 billion. It's a publicly traded company. They used their stock to raise $2 billion back in March, and you can't do whatever it takes to get an auditor and get your filings in order. Uh, you use the capital markets to raise the money on the backs of shareholders. The shareholders deserve you to get your filings up to date and get an auditor right in there. Like that just doesn't make sense to me that you have all this money, and the only reason you had that access to capital is because you're a publicly traded company, and you can't use that to get to alleviate concerns. So, hey, easy to say. I look at Dell and I think it's going to trade up into the 140s into next week. So I might look for some more strikes here at the open. Dell has a history too with these gaps. So it's at 136 here. It might pull back down to 132 and then take off. So I'm not going to be quick to add any strikes, but really like Dell into next week. Corbis, nice end of day move. It was solid. It was in the green, like up 1-2%, and then end of day rally up nearly 4% to close the day. More huge call volume. I was talking about it yesterday. Nearly 3,000 calls traded yesterday versus 11 puts. That's crazy. Not saying all of those are bullish positions. Some could be. It has a large short position. Short interest. 23% of the stock is held short. So could be some shorts positioning just in case there's further upside. But if it breaks over 20 today, I'll look for December strikes and I'll start looking to close some of my calls in. That's Corbis. TravelZoo, solid day again yesterday, up nearly 2%. I put in the chat room, I posted on FinTwit this morning. There's a new beneficial owner, so a private fund who focuses on a concentrated portfolio of companies. So they typically do 5%, 5 companies or so for their entire portfolio, concentrated, and then they look to do leverage, 180 to 200% leverage on hand. So to me, to see them get into a name that has, if you look at TravelZoo, you could say it's not really a growth story, but I think that growth story is going to change. I've been saying this for a while. Argus had a note out on November 1st, and they talked about that they're estimating a 3% conversion rate of the 30 million member base, which they think is going to drive incremental 35% incremental revenue for next year. So here's a company, it's sitting here, it's 13, 15. That was just on earnings. Do you think it's any of the growth is baked in? And you start looking so I think that's high. It was Argus. They think they're going to get a 3% conversion. It's a $40 membership rate. So that's $36 million in revenues. That's nearly that's half their revenues. They did 82 million so far. Well, they're going to do about 82 million this year. Anyway, I'm working on putting together a quick piece, so it's all on a little post, so I don't have to keep regurgitating my bull case. All right, so that's TravelZoo. I'll look for some March and December and Marches. I still keep saying I'm going to get some. I just want to be in a spot where I can lock the rest of my my Novembers. All right, so that's that's TravelZoo. Lemonade finally over that 25 handle, hit it at the end of the day, closed over 25, and then gapping this morning. It was actually 27.50 in the pre-market. My calls are back to life. If it holds 26.50 or so, I might look for strikes to play for move into the 30s. Really like this name for upside. Yeah, monster on Tesla. You know what's funny? I was looking at Tesla calls yesterday when I was doing the implied move, and I was looking at 285s and stocks in the 250s. And it's like a proxy. It was a proxy for it. I didn't think it would soar this much, otherwise I would have got some calls. All right, off topic there. Clear Secure report earnings tomorrow before the open. Solid day yesterday, was up nearly 6%, giving recouping the loss from the previous session. I think it's a great sign. Clear Secure is going to beat and raise tomorrow. It's almost like that's what they do. It's just how the market reacts. And sometimes the market has gapped the stock up and sold off. Last earnings that did do that, and hopefully it's the start of a trend. If so, it's going to trade into the mid 40s. Not going to add anything yet to just my January strikes. WW reported earnings this morning, like a mixed bag, beat on EPS, slight miss on revenues, reiterated their revenue guidance. They're having a conference call right now. That's probably more important than their earnings right now. What's the game plan for the compounded news that they released? What does that look like? If I see an update, I'll update on either in the chat room or on audio. That's that. Peloton. Uh, Back over $8 here today. Hopefully that holds. Uh, solid 2 days in a row. If it holds over 8, I would like to see it get back over. Well, finally break 9. Nice little setup too on the chart. That's Peloton. Oh, I put this on the watch list. They report earnings tomorrow afternoon. Uh, Nice consolidation off the 20 handle. I always like this play. So, you see a nice move back at the start of September. I think that was with the Apple event. Uh, might look to get some U calls. That one has been hurt because they kind of caused some disgruntled customers based on some change up in some fees and things like that. And hopefully they recanted some of that. So hopefully that bodes well for you. And then last but not least, I'm not going to talk about VKTX. That's just been disappointing. At some point, I'll look for some more strikes, but I'll probably wait till next week. GPCR looks like their poster in Obesity Week was a non-event, but still chart's still setting up nice. The 200-day moving average 40.26. If it breaks out, I might look for some December strikes. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock it.